Hey guys, I'm Sage Valentine, and I'm back to review another episode of CBS's Big Brother, Season 18, Episode number 33, so let's just get down to it. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode by leaving me a comment in the comment section below. Honestly, I was trying to figure out why Michelle is confused and why she can't figure out that she is the true target and not Paul. Also, when Paul was trying to dictate who would be the replacement nominee if he was pulled off the block, I was just like cracking up. Honestly. I am not surprised that Nicole was upset because James and Michelle were talking in the room about the veto. I'm not surprised that Nicole is upset because Natalie's not talking to her. I'm also not surprised that Corey was zoning out, because Corey pretty much zones out, and I heard him say that he has to take some sort of like ADHD medicine or something of the sort. But there are a lot of people watching the show that don't know this, so people just think that he is just flat out stupid. And he honestly keeps getting the stupid edit. Pretty much Michelle was nominated by Nicole because Michelle is not in an alliance. She is not in a showmance. She's all by herself, stuck in the middle. And Paul was nominated to be sure that he is serious about that Final Four deal that he made with Nicorette, Corey, and Nicole, as well as Victor. On top of the fact that his nomination is all pretty much a smokescreen to keep James in the dark about that Final Four deal. Michelle hopes that she's the pawn and Paul is the threat. Paul hopes that he's the pawn and Michelle is the threat. James believes that Nicole said that Paul is the target. James has no clue who the target is because he's pretty much in the dark like everyone else is, save for those in that Final Four deal. And really, to be honest, the two people who know how things are going to go as far as the vote is Nicorette, Nicole and Corey. Corey's trying to figure out what to do with his bribe. I'm shaking my head through the whole situation. Nicole is adamant that Michelle cannot win the veto. Paul hopes that he wins the veto and can pull himself off of the block, or maybe Victor will win the veto and he can pull him off. But either way, Paul and Victor convince Nicole that if they win HOH, they're going after James and Natalie. They're going to either split them up, or one's going to vote one out and one's going to vote the other one out. So Big Brother is being so cruel with the have-nots this week, whereas, you know, Corey and Victor are pretty much have-nots and they have to eat seaweed and squid and take cold showers. I'm just shaking my head. The only squid that I have eaten was calamari, and I've had seaweed chips, and not a fan. Not a fan. So it's time to pick the players for the veto competition. Nicole picks Victor. She hopes that Victor wins the veto and saves Paul. Paul gets house guest choice, and he obviously picks Corey because he doesn't care how it looks to James, Natalie, and Michelle. Michelle picks James, and she hopes that he can save her, but James just wants to keep the nominations the same so that he can keep himself and Natalie safe. Now, Michelle believes that she might be the target because Paul chose Corey when Paul was given the house guest choice, meaning that he could pick whatever house guest he wanted to play in the veto besides himself. And she believes that Paul and Corey and Victor and Nicole are all working together, obviously. Michelle knows that Nicole would not backdoor James. Nicole wonders if it looks sketchy that Paul chose Corey. I'm just like, yeah, it definitely does. But Nicole is adamant, don't let Michelle win the veto. So we get to the veto competition, which is cute because it's this whole Christmas theme, and it seemed to distract the crap out of Corey, who's talking about reindeer, and he kept getting the like sleigh bells, like I'm surprised they didn't have birds chirping over his head. Like, his edit this season has been so shady. Big Brother is so shady. It's too funny. Michelle all of a sudden pops up and says she has no clue if she's the target. And it's weird, especially after seeing that segment where it basically said that she thought that she was the target. Now, in the veto segment, she's not sure if she's the target. I'm just like, oh my goodness. At one point in the veto competition, they had to guess how many, what was that, like, names were on a list or something, and Corey picked 1 billion, and Nicole was confused until Corey stayed in and she folded, and that's what helped her win the veto competition. But I'm just like, you know, Corey could have won that veto competition. But again, I feel like Corey doesn't want to do the heavy lifting this season, so it seems like he keeps leaving everything up to Nicole. Nicole was so happy that he threw the competition. In the end, it was down to Paul, Michelle, and Nicole as the last 3 people left. And then Nicole won, and Michelle revealed that she still felt safe next to Paul, and I'm shaking my head the entire time like, no, honey. Especially not after that speech that she made about Nicole. She is not safe. And Corey told Nicole that he saved her by choosing to stay in the game on purpose. Victor feels comfortable and trusts Nicole, and he's so happy that Nicole won the veto. Nicole starts thinking about what she should do in the game, and she decides that she might keep the nominations the same, and then she could try to get out Victor and Paul, because neither of those two really tried to win the veto. Hell, Victor had a chance to win HOH, and he didn't try. He didn't try to, so if Nicole is able to pull off this back door, that would be really, really interesting. And Paul would be extra pissed. Natalie sees that Victor is distant and he is hiding something from her. James and Natalie are talking, and James says he hopes that Nicole did not forget about their Final Four, and Natalie's just like, you know, Nicole could be playing Paul and Victor and planning on sending Paul out of the house. Natalie was just like, well, they have Victor, so we have Michelle. Victor and Paul miss quote-unquote female company, so it was this whole like Victor and Paul dating or romance thing that Big Brother threw into the episode, and I was just shaking my head. Big Brother keeps throwing in these weird like segments with Paul involved in them. So Michelle was sleeping in the bed, and Big Brother kept chastising her about obstructing her mic, and I'm just like, she's asleep. Like, how is she obstructing her mic? I feel like Big Brother is trying to mess with her. So Michelle starts talking to Natalie, and she feels like she's in the dark, and she's upset, and she feels like she's going home. And this segment becomes another sad Meech segment where she cries, and she's just going on and on about how upset she is about being nominated. So Paul tries to dictate who Nicole should put up in his place when and if she takes him off the block, and he suggests Natalie. On a side note, Michelle hasn't been campaigning. She's been sleeping in the bed for most of the week. A lot of people online are disappointed in her. I'm just like, I guess she's given up at this point, but she shouldn't, because she probably still has time to campaign and save herself. Nicole decides to be very careful with her next move. So during the veto ceremony, during Michelle's speech, Michelle just tells her, do what you want, and Paul says, taking me off the block is friendship, putting me on the block is not friendship. So Nicole decides not to use the veto. Michelle says that the game is getting to her. James thinks that he can trust Nicole and Corey 85%. He wants Michelle to stay, and he's going to campaign for her to stay. Paul wants to make sure that Michelle stays the target, and Nicole says 2 big targets are on the block, and she might have to be the tiebreaker, so she's happy. I wish I had an answer for you guys so that I could ease your mind, so that you wouldn't sit for the next 24 hours and kind of rack your brain and ask yourself, who is going home between Michelle and Paul? If things work out, then Paul will essentially end up going home because, quite honestly, Paul is the bigger threat than Michelle. Michelle is by herself. She is a super fan, but Michelle is not up in the HOH room dictating anything. And Michelle is not acting like she's running the house. Yes, she's crying. Yes, she's laying around. But she's a safer bet to keep than Paul. Plus, there's the thing that they're down to 3 boys and 3 girls, and it's time to get out another boy. And plus, Paul's reaction will be priceless. But if Nicole decides to get rid of Michelle, then she's going to have to deal with Paul and Victor fighting for the HOH, one of them winning and then nominating one of them. Or nominating James and Natalie, and then when one of them wins the veto, putting up probably Nicole next to James or Nicole next to Natalie. And then Nicole going bye-bye. It is what it is. I will be back to do the review for tomorrow's episode. Hopefully I'm able to see tomorrow's episode because of the football thing that's happening tomorrow, because football always ends up ruining Big Brother around this time. I wish that CBS and Big Brother would allow the people who watch the feeds to be able to watch the episode live via the app, because pretty much during the football games it's all blacked out. But if I can't, then I will have it done on Friday, because I am volunteering this weekend, so I'm going to be a very tired puppy, but I promise I will get these reviews done. I love you all. Thank you so much for sitting with me through this review. It's been a really long day, and until I review episode number 34, you guys take care. I love you all. Bye, guys. Bye.